Okay, so love, we are live today for the day. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
and so today we are doing episode 4, and this is aligns with chapter 2 of Cybex 10th edition, right? I had a good session today. I went to all the Indian Information Security Summit, which was organized by DSCI, a good event, right?
okay,
We'll take on the event main things maybe on some other podcast,
sure,
right?
sure.
Today's podcast is focused again, as of now, on CISSP. Now, one good news: two people passed. One is Rakesh and Vinit Dave. Vinit Dave has attributed his a lot of success to our Cornell notes. Okay,
Yes,
he
yes,
said that I've sent the screenshot today, and Cornell notes has been actually helping a lot of people, right? So we
yeah,
have some more students coming up with the exam. 7th, I have another someone who's appearing. So people are very appreciative of the Cornell notes. I've made it for free. We are just charging 1 rupees to download. 1 rupees because that's the platform cannot made let us sell it for free
yes,
because of platform restrictions. We have to charge 1 rupee. So that's the restriction, but it's there on our platform, and anybody who wants to download our free Cornell notes has to pay 1 rupees. That's like 1 cent. Okay,
yeah.
roughly 1 cent, less than 1 cent. Right. So what are we discussing today, love?
A lot of important topics are today as well, like managing personal security, risk management concepts, social engineering, email security against spoofing and phishing that we have, and training awareness. All basic
Okay.
fundamental topics again. Yeah,
Yeah. So if you look at organization wide, like whenever you are responsible for managing security and risk, you can send the links on the groups. People are waiting, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. One second.
Right.
Carry on, sir. I'll tell- Yeah,
Yeah. So whenever you're managing security and risk in your organization, also, you will have to ensure that the people risks are taken care of, because no matter what, humans are still considered the weakest link, no matter what, right? Because attackers are trying to hack an organization, get into an organization using people as the weakest link. They will send you some kind of phishing link so that they can get inside your organization, right? So it's very important that you have your oversight over the human processes and the risks which emanate, or I will say originate from you know uh, people risks. Okay, and that's what we call it as personal risk. Now, as a security manager, security in charge, or someone responsible for security, even CISO, you have to look at organizational processes where human beings are involved, right? Now, the cycle for any personnel in an organization is generally starts from job description and classification. Now, job description and classification are basically important because once you form job description and job classification properly, that defines a user's access levels or access privileges. Okay,
yeah,
now a
yeah.
good organization will always map its job descriptions and requirements with the access privileges that are required, and that's a very, very
Right,
important thing.
right.
So HR should be very clear that, okay, this person, once they are given to a particular department or a vertical, okay, what kind of uh, job role they are going to do, and that job role will be given to the IT, and IT, in consultation with the department which the user will be going into, will put them in a specific group or a role which will be decided by least privilege concept. Okay, now whenever
Right.
users are onboarded and given access, generally a principle of default deny, okay, or implicit deny is a good security process. Day one you do not have any access, so implicit deny is should be your default security access privilege level for a user, right? So once you have no, I had the mic for quite some time. I actually forgot my
You
headphones,
will,
to
you
be
will see
frank.
a lot of new tools coming up. This is the
It
mic.
was already existing in Fosec Guru, right?
Yeah.
And the mic I just used today. Otherwise, I don't have my headphones today,
I told you we
right?
had all this
So
equipment. I told you. Yeah, see, it's coming up now.
right. So once job description and classifications are have been described for a personnel, the next thing should be it should be maintained for the entire employee life cycle, right? Because what happens, some users, some personnel will come, they will get promoted over a period of time, they will go up, and they will keep carrying on or adding on privileges over a period of time. And
Right.
there have been many instances when you went as an L1 and you became the CEO, and you retained all the access, and
Right.
this CEO's account gets hacked, and you get access to every damn thing, right?
Right.
So you have to consistently review the accounts, and that's called account reviews or review account management, wherein you have to consistently see that users have the requisite permissions and privileges what they deserve for carrying out their work, not
UAR.
less, not more.
UAR. I think user account reviews. Yeah.
Yes, user account reviews. And the user account review somewhere maps to least privilege, that you have the only the privilege which you need to do your work,
Right.
right? And then what happens is, user carries out its job, and once they leave the organization or are they promoted, you're supposed to revoke the existing access, and give new access. Or if he or she is leaving the organization, you make the account dormant, and after some time revoke the account. Now, that's the general process, and that oversight needs to be there. Many organizations I've audited, I've seen the people who have left 6 months back, their accounts are still active,
Yes.
because
Yes.
the process is not defined properly, and such
Yes.
accounts, the dormant accounts, become a attack vector.
Yes. Easy.
They become a leakage
Yeah.
place. Okay. Now, one more thing is, many organizations today have to let go of employees. At times they have to fire employees. Now, the moment someone who is under distress, and you're firing that person, they might become an internal threat, they might cause
Yes.
damage to internal information. So you have to even let go of employee in a dignified manner, in a manner that it doesn't provoke them to do something wrong against the organization. And you
Yeah.
should have a policy defined as to what will be the access revoke process. It should not happen that the individual comes and is accessing the master database, and you say, hey, listen, you are fired. Well, okay, I'm fired, look, main database gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So that also should not happen. So you have to have that risk oversight. So generally, good practice is to have a proper interview, and when the interview is being done, that is the time you revoke the access. Okay. An interview should be done by people who are empathetic and sympathetic to the needs, and yeah, of human, as keep the human nature in mind. Because I understand, corporate environments, you have to let go of people at times because of
Yes.
financial pressures, right? But security people have to keep that in mind, that that might also become an internal threat,
Yes.
right? Also, users can be motivated, employees, human beings can be motivated. So that's why motivation is a very major factor. And if your employees are motivated, they are well trained, they are made security aware, and you will find that there are very less amount of breaches in the organization. And that's why whenever you are doing security training, it's very important to create something called training effectiveness index. Okay. It's
Okay.
in army used to follow the TEI metric concept, wherein we used to see, okay, we provided training, but what is it effectiveness? So it's very
Yeah.
important that whenever you are carrying out training, uh, whosoever is responsible for training definitely has training effectiveness index. So how are you going to evaluate that the training which you have imparted is actually effective? Okay.
So
And
how
that's
do they
called
do that?
TE.
Do they take exams or what, sir?
You can take exams, you can carry out simulations, you can carry out feedbacks, right?
Phishing
There are many
attacks. Yeah.
ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can take feedback from people, you can carry
Yeah.
out simulation testing, right? You can carry out phishing testing. Okay.
Right.
You can have security champions. You say, okay,
Yeah.
every week whosoever has the best security behavior will be awarded a security champion and a cash prize of 1,000 rupees. So that gives a small motivation to people to behave properly and
Right.
follow the
Right.
process and procedures,
Right.
right?
Right.
So training is something which is continuous in nature, and if it is not continuous, people become like a bicycle. They will start finding loopholes, and
Yes.
they will be able to easily bypass controls, right? So that's a major part of security management for an organization, right?
Is
Now,
gamification also some sort of training, sir? Gamification, I've heard this soon.
gamification is, yeah, trying to make security interesting. Okay.
Like a quiz and all. Yeah. Yeah.
Quiz, or you make an app which has
Okay.
if you've used an app called Duolingo, Have you seen an
Duolingo.
app called Duolingo? So
Not
Duolingo
really.
is an app for learning languages. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
gamification of learning languages.
Okay.
Similarly, you can gamify your security training also. That okay,
Okay.
level one. Let's see. Do you understand phishing? Do you understand what's a
That
virus?
way. That way. Okay. Okay.
And then he answers, and then make him go to level 2, then level
Right.
3, level 4. So there are many techniques by which you can do that, right? So gamification is also an interesting way of
Yeah.
insight, because if I say go watch a video of 1 hour for fishing, employee
Yeah.
will go switch it on, and so
I
human,
have
you
seen
have to
most of
understand.
the time. Yeah, I have seen most of the time. What happens is, like 100 people have got the this thing training to complete. Like the peers, they actually tell you the answers. Okay, this is the answer. You click on the end of the course, and A B B C C. You are done. That's how the people do it. Actually,
So
yeah,
that's basically eyewash, right?
yeah,
So training should be carried out in a religious manner. That's very important, right? If you train well during peace, you will bleed less during the war. So that's what the army motto is: train hard during peace, bleed less during the war. Okay, and that's where your resilience comes in, business continuity comes in, exercises come in, training exercises comes in, right? So that's very important. Now, next part is humans generally are, for the best way of getting access to an organization is to elicit information from you by taking your organizational ID, password, and maybe multi-factor authentication, right? So most organizations today depend upon user ID, password, and some kind of MFA for accessing organization resources. Now, hackers, for them, easiest way of infiltrating your organization is to get your credentials and compromise your multi-factor authentication, and that they can do easily by social engineering. So what could be social engineering? I'm calling you and saying, hey love, listen, my account has got locked out, and can you just reset my account? And you are the system admin. Okay, your
yeah,
voice sounds familiar, and you do that. Okay.
yeah,
Or second way is, hey listen, my MFA is stuck, man. I'm not able to find the MFA. Can you just send me my MFA? You can generate the MFA and send me the QR code, or
yeah,
something like that. I pose kind of a familiarity or scarcity, or you look at all the major hacks where people have actually fooled L1 and L2 level, their IT support, and
yes,
got the access
yeah,
revoked, and then re-engineered, and
yeah.
they were inside the
I would like to share an incident here. So it happened to me actually while I was also in help desk. So some lady called me actually. So
uh-huh.
my CIO was a lady in America. So she called me when the production was actually starting at 5 p.m. evening. They were just starting production in America in the morning. So she said, this reset my password. This is I'm person. This is I'm calling. I asked her 2 3 questions. She hung up the phone right away.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was
Okay.
again same thing. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I just informed the CIO that this is what is happening on your account now. So yeah, it's a very common practice.
Yeah,
They do
I
that.
few days back I got a email trying to get familiarity. Hey, is your account still? Are you still using this email account? Okay, and I could easily see that whosoever is sending this email, he has profiled me on LinkedIn. Okay,
Yeah,
because he was
yeah,
using my rank with a Mister. So I said, this person does not know me. He's just trying a stunt, right? So I could
yeah,
trap him easily, but then I decided you never attack an attacker, right?
yeah,
In at least cyber world, you don't do that, right? Uh, so uh, so email becomes a very very big threat, vector, you know risk vector, and organization should take care of that. Now, if email uh, you know is compromised, what takes place is business email compromise, and business email compromise is a major vector today. If you look at most of the major hacks, SolarWinds, all the ransomware attacks, they were all happened because of BEC,
right,
right?
right,
One of the most simplest way in which over a period of time DNS organizations have evolved and email organizations have evolved a secure way of ensuring that uh, majority of phishing emails go to the spam or the trash folder is by implementing something called the sender policy framework. Okay.
SPF, yeah,
SPF. So you enable SPF, and to implement SPF, you basically use DKIM, domain key,
And DMARC
identify.
also, sir. DMARC also. Yeah.
Yeah. So for implementing SPF, you need both domain key identified mail and
Yeah.
DMARC as a process. So,
Yeah.
but what basically does is an authentication of your DNS of your domain name is
Right.
carried out using digital certificates. And if your domain is not verified, the mail will go into the spam,
Spam
right?
filter. Yeah.
Otherwise, it will go to the inbox. But still, l- hackers will find a way to send you a phishing mail, okay, from
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
very
They do.
authenticated
They do.
domains,
They do.
and
Yeah.
that you have to understand and see what mails are phishing. And keeping that in mind, love, we created our first product, it's a SaaS product, and we called it Fish My Team.
Okay.
Okay,
Fish my team.
so
Okay.
it's a SaaS product which I developed, okay,
Okay.
and my team has developed. And
Wow.
it's a phishing simulation tool which you can use to send phishing emails, and so authentic emails. I myself have got phished from my team, during testing phase. Okay,
Wow.
so it looks
Is
so
it ready?
authentic
Is
that,
it ready? Can organization
yeah.
try that? Yeah.
Yes, it's ready now.
Okay.
It's ready. It's in production right now, and
Wow.
we are on the process of creating the other things, right?
Good.
So
Okay.
phishing is a very very major and activity, and that is some organizations. I've seen some major organizations like big banks who have not uh, enabled SPF. Okay, now that's also a black mark. That means how seriously
Yeah.
you take your security.
Right.
So these are the things as far as this today's topics are concerned. And next topic which we are focusing is risk management. Okay,
Yeah.
risk
Yeah.
management is something which is core of managing information security risks. Right now, risk management is something which you can carry out in two ways. Right,
Right.
and before you carry out risk management, you should know how to model threats, and which we saw yesterday, how to model
Yeah.
threats.
Yeah.
So once you model threats, now you are capable of carrying out risk assessment, because part of risk assessment will be threat assessment, for which you need threat modeling, right? So you've done your threat modeling, you've run your threat assessments, and now based on your products, based on your assets, based on what kind of you know personnel you have, or software you have, or hardware you have, or processes you have, what is your threat. Okay, so
Right.
once you've
Right.
modeled that threat and you have the threat assessment, next what you want to know is, can this threat manifest in your establishment or your organization? That means, do you have the vulnerability? Because for risk to manifest, you need the threat and vulnerability, and negate one
Right.
of them, you negate risk, right? Now, but at no point in time you can confidently say that you have negated the threat or you have negated the vulnerability. So they are probabilistic factors, and that's why risk is a probabilistic factor.
Right.
Now, if you want to do risk assessment or risk management, risk management is basically identifying risks, prioritizing risks, responding to risks, and continuously keeping an oversight. So that's the risk management. Now, part of risk management is risk assessment, and risk
Right.
assessment can be carried out in two ways. So first
Right.
is qualitative analysis,
Right.
and second is quantitative analysis. Qualitative analysis is, you look at how many threats and how many vulnerabilities are there in your organization, and you categorize based on some quality values, whether the risk is high, low, medium, because you cannot maybe justify that whether it is 10 out of 9, 9 out of 10, or 8 out of 10, because you cannot
Yeah.
quantify it,
Yeah.
because they are qualifying in nature. So how often a earthquake will happen, or how can you protect your organization against availability loss, against some kind of a major disease like COVID again happening again. So these are
Right.
all reputational losses, right,
Right.
for which you do not have quantified data. So you carry out qualitative analysis, but you can carry out quantitative analysis once you look at what is the likelihood of a threat, okay, and what is the impact of the activity which will happen, right? So impact and threat can be impact and likelihood can be quantified. Now likelihood is a probabilistic factor, impact is again can be a quantified factor, because impact can be measured, okay, whether it's going to get get you a loss of 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%. So once you do quantitative analysis, you are looking at likelihood, which is expressed as annual rate of occurrence, and okay, the next is the impact, which is expressed as ALE, annual loss expectancy. So these two things exactly tell you what is the amount of loss that you are going to have. Okay.
Right.
And then we have, and then there's a mathematical way of calculating quantitative analysis base, which is basically called asset value analysis. You find the asset value, you calculate the single loss expectancy, that is the amount of loss which can happen once attack takes once. Okay. You
Right.
multiply it with ARO, that is annual rate of occurrence, and you get the total loss which will happen in a year. Okay. And then what is the exposure factor, what is the probability that this risk will materialize, right? So these two factors tell you what is the level of risk, prioritization of risk. Now to prioritize risk, you have certain frameworks like dread. Okay. So dread is a framework which can tell you in a qualitative manner what is the impact of the risk. Okay.
Dread.
So dread, yeah, dread is called damage, okay, reproducibility,
Okay.
uh, exploitability, affected users, and one more factor. Okay, so you calculate based on these five factors. I forgot the fifth one,
It's
right?
okay.
What is the impact going to be? You can calculate using dread. Okay,
Okay.
and if you have quantitative values, it's very simple. You just get the values. Okay, what is the amount of loss going to be?
Yeah.
Right. So CISSP does check you on one or two small numericals on basically, but you should understand what is the impact of ALE, what is the impact of exposure factor, yeah, discoverability, right?
Discoverability. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is risk management is basically identifying, categorizing, prioritizing, responding, and then finally keep on monitoring risk. That's the risk management process. Assessments can be done in quantitative or qualitative manner. Qualitative, there are many ways. You can do discussions, you can do scenario building, you can do walkthroughs. Okay, you can do quizzes, you can do Delphi techniques where you take in anonymous feedback from people. So there are many ways of doing qualitative analysis also. Okay, so once you've done that, now you know what are the risk organization, and then you culminate the risk management process by documentation, which is called generally in an organization results with something called a risk register. Okay,
Right.
now this
Right.
register could be an Excel sheet, or you can buy some hi-fi tool like GRC Archer or ServiceNow, and you can
Yeah.
populate your risk register on a tool which is more hi-fi. But
Right.
when you're starting, it's good to start from an Excel sheet where
Yeah.
you have an oversight over your risk, who is the owner, when do you accept the risk. Now once you identified the risk, it's very important to minimize the risk. The main organizational goal is to always minimize risk, and to minimize risk you have certain way of minimizing risk, and generally you mitigate the risk to minimize it. That means you implement controls, right?
Right.
But at times you may not be able to implement controls, right? Which are those situations? First is you are very ignorant, you are lackadaisical. Okay, you don't care, then you ignore the risk. Okay, risk ignorance is not an acceptable risk
Yeah.
response.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Right.
what you should always do is mitigate the risk, bring the risk as low as possible, right?
Right.
Second is accepting the risk. When do you accept the risk? You never accept the initial risk. You accept the risk once you have implemented controls, and whatever residual risk is remaining, you accept it or you transfer it. Transferring means you buy some insurance. You say, okay, this much is the risk which I cannot do anything about it. Let me transfer it. Because insurance companies are also going to evaluate that whether you have done your due diligence and implemented controls, then only they will give you insurance.
Right.
Right? Now, accepting the risk is generally when the risk is very low. And when will the risk become low? Initially, either the risk is very low and you don't need to implement control, or second is when you've implemented control, then the risk is residual in nature and you can't do anything about it. Okay,
Right. Right.
then you accept risk. Now, the last point which people get confused is, what if my control cost is so high that I can't do anything about it? Shall I accept the risk? You cannot accept the risk. You can never accept risk if it's very high. If I tell you that if you cross this road and a bus is going to hit you, are you going to cross the road? No, right? So what? Are you going to take the risk? Are you going to accept? You can't accept the risk.
Oh.
You will avoid. You will not cross that road. It's a highway. It's a national highway. You're not supposed to cross the road. Simple. Unless there is a foot over bridge, you will not cross it.
Yeah.
There's
Or
a wrong
underway.
concept.
Yeah.
It's a wrong concept saying that the control cost is very high, so I'll accept the risk. No, you will avoid the risk. You
Very
will not
important
go that
factor.
path where the risk is
Yeah.
very high,
Right. Right.
because that will that will lead to something called ignoring the risk. It's not
Right.
avoiding the risk. Avoiding the risk is you don't take that path.
Right.
So people should understand how, now once you respond to risk, and you want to mitigate it, you can mitigate in three ways. You can implement three categories of controls. You can implement physical controls, okay, to contain physical risks. You can contain behavioral risk using administrative controls like policies and procedures.
Policies.
And finally, you can reduce technical risk by implementing technology controls,
Yeah.
right? And there are many types of controls. There are detective controls which can help you in detect. There are, preventive controls which help you in preventing. There will be, uh, you know, what detection, prevention. Then you have compensating controls. There are six,
Yeah.
seven types of controls which are
What
there,
are
and if you,
compensating ones, sir? What are compensating controls? I've heard this.
compensating control means, okay, you put a control, it's not capable of doing all the tasks. You put a lock, you
Okay.
know that this lock can be easily broken. Okay. So you put a CCTV to monitor it that nobody is breaking it. So you've compensated for its
Ah.
weakness.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. These are the things and terms which you should be generally aware of once you are managing risks in an organization as far as CISSP is concerned, right? Okay. What else? I think I've covered the entire topic. Anything
You
else
have
left?
covered actually in a breeze. You have covered everything. There is nothing left. But just one thing I wanted to say out that anybody who is watching this stream right now, if you really want to do hands-on in terms of whatever sir is mentioning, in terms of performing risk assessment, in terms of actually calculating the risk in a hands-on practical way, then definitely we have a course for you. Okay, you can join the course. There's a GRC course that we have, and it's a practical hands-on course where you can do all these things by your hands, so it will actually help you understand this in the real life. Okay, so if you really want to get in touch, feel free to get in touch with me.
Yeah, your course is making large
Yeah.
waves, love.
Yeah.
So we had three full houses in last 3 months. Your
Yeah.
GRC course is a hit. I've got a very positive feedback about your GRC course. And since we are coupling it with ISO 27001 implementation, that's an add-on, I guess.
Yeah.
One of a type in the market. I don't think anybody else offers something like this. Because
No.
we genuinely feel that, just by giving 27,000 in implementation, people don't understand what to do with it, right?
Right.
A 5-day course, unless you make them understand what is actually
Right.
governance, risk
Right.
management, and
Right. And
compliance.
make them write those policies which they are
Yeah.
actually
Make
scared
them
about.
write those policies, make them risk
Yeah.
register,
Yeah.
follow the
Yeah.
continuous process, how
Yeah.
to do stakeholder management, issue management,
Right.
right? So
Perform the
all these,
internal audit. Yeah.
yeah, perform the internal audit,
Yeah. Yeah.
make an audit report, present it to the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
These are the things which you
Create
should know how.
create the MRM review minutes now. So
Yeah, yeah. Create the minutes of meeting,
it's
review
all it's
meeting,
all
create.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is all, love for today. Okay, and
Yeah.
I
Mainly
think
mainly
I,
two subjects.
I I always end it with questions. So
Yeah.
I prepared few questions today, and let's see
Sure.
how
Let's go for it, sir. Yeah. Till the time
right.
anybody watching any questions, feel free to add. Okay, in the comment section. Yogesh is there, sir. He's asking, hello, sir. Can a completely non-tech person go for CISSP? Yogesh Shalar.
See, I know chartered accountants who have cleared CISSP. You can do your hard work and go. I'll not say you cannot do it. Nothing is impossible. Okay, completely non-tech. You just have to become a tech,
Seriously,
right?
the chartered
But
accountants.
I still recommend, if you are completely from a non-tech background, okay, maybe try out something much more starting. Maybe try CC, ISC2's certified in cybersecurity. That gives you a
Yeah,
very, very base fundamental. Okay, and then you can do a advanced one. When maybe do CompTIA Security Plus, and then maybe try to aim, because it requires relevant experience in two domains. So unless you have experience in those two domains, I will recommend not to prepare. Once you're prepared, yes, you can do
so
anything.
Prem S is here, sir. He's saying I am a standing example of the same Dada. I don't know who is that.
I'm a standing example of what Prem has passed his CCSP.
Yeah, so he's saying I'm a standing
He
example of
was,
the same Dada.
yeah, Prem has eaten my head a lot at night, 3 o'clock, night 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we ensured he passed his CCSP.
Wow, wow, that's great.
That's why
That's
he's
great.
our fan, right?
Yeah, CCSP. He's mentioning that. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Prem.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, so the question is in front of you. Okay, right. So let's see this question. After After repeated events of retraining, okay, a particular worker was caught for the fourth time attempting to access documents that were not relevant to their job position. The CISO decides that this was the last chance and the worker is to be fired. The CSO reminds you that the organization has a formal termination process that should be followed. Okay. Which of the following is an important task to perform during the termination procedure to reduce future security issues related to this formal employee, right?
Mm,
So, shall we return the exiting employee's personal belongings? Yes, definitely.
yeah,
Shall we review the non disclosure agreement? Definitely.
yeah,
Evaluate
yes.
the exiting employee's performance. Is there any point now?
No, 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 no.
Okay. Cancel the exiting employee's parking permit. Of course, you have to do that.
Yeah,
So, that means these three are the three answers.
yeah,
But you want to reduce future risks.
yeah,
Can canceling exiting employees parking permit reduce future risks?
yeah. Because he
Yeah,
won't be able to visit again, right?
yeah. Which of the following is the important task? But is it an important task? It's a
No,
normal task, right?
it's a normal task.
It's not an important task. Okay. Return the exiting employees' personal belongings.
Hmm. No,
Now,
this won't help
I
actually.
feel that's an
Yeah,
important task because that will have a lot of data. But future risks, okay?
yeah,
Even if he if even see even if he returns his employees, does the risk remain or not? It does because he is carrying a lot of information in his head.
yeah,
And the only way you can control that risk is if you remind him, boss, I can catch you legally if I see you doing something wrong.
yeah. B is the answer, right? Right.
Okay. So this is a legally binding document.
Nice one, Abhishek Verma. Thank you. Yeah, he guessed
Right?
it initially. Yeah,
Yeah, great. Next question.
yeah.
See, the aim is not that this question is difficult. The aim is how do you approach the
Approach.
question?
Yeah, I understand.
And
How do you approach the question?
how do you justify the answer?
Yeah, yeah. Coding is a tool to enter.
So the question says which of the following is a true statement in regard to vendor, consultant, and contractor controls? That means some kind of a third party, right? Using business email compromise is a means to ensure that organizations providing services maintain an appropriate level of service agreed on by the service provider vendor. That's completely an absurd statement. BC is when you once your business email compromise has taken place. So it's an absurd answer, right? To confuse
Yeah,
you,
right.
right? Straight away out.
Yeah,
Outsourcing can be used as a risk response option known as acceptance or appetite.
wrong.
Outsourcing is transfer.
Yeah,
You're transferring to some more capable hands,
right.
right? So somewhere down the line, this is also, I feel, is not right. Multi-party risk exists when several entities or organizations are involved in a project. True till now. The
Yeah,
risks or threats are often due to the variations of objective expectations, timeline, budgets, and security priorities of those involved. Very, very right statement, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because there will be multi-party involved when
Definitely.
you are right.
Yeah,
Risk management strategies implemented by one party do not cause additional risks against or from another party. Now, that's wrong. It does.
it can. Yeah,
It can, right? If I implement a
right, right,
strategy
right,
of not implementing a firewall,
right.
it might impact my,
Definitely.
relevant third parties.
Yeah,
So in this case, we did elimination to arrive at the right answer because
very
this
good.
sounds logical also, right?
Yeah. Again, Abhishek is right. Abhishek Verma, are you already CISSP or what? He's answering initially. Yeah, good. Carry on, sir. Yeah,
Right. Okay. So third question is during a meeting of a company leadership and the security team discussion focus on defining the value of assets in dollars, inventorying threats, predicting the specific amount of harm of a breach, and determining the number of times a threat could cause harm. So that means I have some kind of values to a risk which is there, right? And whenever you have values, what does it mean?
values. That means quantitative, huh?
So quantitative. Okay.
Yeah,
Risk avoidance is wrong. Delphi technique is a qualitative risk assessment, and
yeah.
qualitative risk assessment involves quality rather than quantities. So since there are quantities involved, we go for quantitative.
Yeah.
Right. So during a risk management project, an evaluation of several controls determines that none are cost effective in reducing the risk related to a specific important asset. What risk response is being exhibited by this situation?
During the evaluation of several controls, none are cost effective.
One of the fundamentals of security, you cannot put a $10 lock,
Yeah.
okay, on a $1 asset.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, whatever you're trying to do, you're trying to basically get a $10 lock to protect a $1 asset.
Right.
So are you ignoring?
Mm, we can't. You said
Ignorance
that we
would have
can't.
been
Yeah,
ignorance
we
would have
can't.
been ignorance would have been if your asset was $1 and your
Right.
control was 1 cent.
Hmm.
You said, I don't want to even spend this 1 cent.
Yeah.
So this is not ignorance, right?
Right. Right.
Are we reducing the risk? We cannot because the control cost
We
is too
cannot.
high.
It's costly. Yeah.
Are we assigning the risk? Are we saying that look, we are not capable of because controls are $10 high
Hmm.
and I can afford only 5 cents, but I'm not capable. So I'm giving you this contract. Please manage this control. Am I doing that?
No.
So this is also so ultimately I don't have a choice but to accept.
Yeah.
That means it's a very risky venture. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if it may not be very risky venture, but you are saying that controls are not within my budget. I can't help it.
Yeah. It's the last resort that the company has. Yeah.
Yes.
Good one, Abhishek Verma. Again, you are right, man. Very good.
Okay. So this is interesting. We have not discussed this. We will discuss this risk maturity model after we have done the after we have done this question. So your organization is quoting a new business partner. Okay. During the negotiations, the other party defines several requirements of your organization's security that must be met prior to signing of the SLA and business partners agreement BPA. One of the major requirements is that your organization demonstrate the level of achievement of the risk maturity model. The requirement is specifically that a common or standardized risk framework is adopted organization wide. Which of the five possible levels of RMM is being required of your organization? So, what is risk maturity model? Risk maturity model, I think we discussed in one of our sessions. It is IRDMO. Initiating or ad hoc, repeatable.
Okay.
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 Repeatable. Initial or ad hoc means there is a total chaos, there's no risk management. Repeatable means okay, you have some initial value of risk, identifying risk and doing. Defined.
Defined.
Defined means you have a framework.
Okay.
Because you have a
Measure
framework,
everything.
now you have a defined risk management process. You're saying okay, I will do a risk management as per ISO 31000.
Hmm.
Managed means when you have defined
And okay.
KPIs. And optimized means risk management is ingrained in your processes.
Okay.
Okay. So now they are saying that your organization secret that must be met prior to signing of the SLA and business partners agreement. One of the requirements is that your organization demonstrate the level of achievement of the requirement is specifically that a common or standardized risk framework is adopted. Where is framework adopted?
D. Defined.
So that means what is my maturity level?
D. Third. Yeah. C.
Right. Now, this
Wow.
wherever you see maturity, these will be the five concepts: initiating, repeatable, defined, managed, optimized.
Very
Initiating
good.
is the initial phase.
Yeah.
Repeatable means you have loose attempts at achieving something. Defined means you have some kind of a framework. Managed means you have defined metrics. Optimized means you have proactive risk management or any other maturity ingrained into your processes. Right?
Okay.
So with this, I come to the end of today's session, and we have completed actually second chapter of Cybex 10th edition. Okay.
Wow. So we have a
Right.
question,
Yeah.
Abhishek. As part of risk management
Mhm.
process, is personal mobile communication is allowed to discuss business threats or risks? I feel this is very unethical. Can you please share your opinions?
As part of risk management process, is personal mobile communication is allowed to discuss business threats or risk. I feel this is unethical. I have not got your question. You're trying to say that whatever I spoke between two colleagues, that is put up in front of organization and said that look, you said this. Now this was a risk. Is that what you're trying to say, Abhishek?
Yeah, maybe
Personal mobile
elaborate a little bit
communication
more.
out of the office communication,
Yeah,
if somebody is putting that, firstly you should not discuss that outside.
exactly.
Anything official, you should not discuss. In, you should keep your personal and private official life separate. So if you're using a personal phone and you've signed an NDA, then you should not be using your personal phone for
Yeah,
official
I think
communication
he's
or
right, sir. Personal phone for business communications. Yeah, it is unethical. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, you should not use.
Yeah.
And that's why organizations provide you with an organizational phone, right?
Yes.
At
Yes.
time, those who cannot afford, make a policy out of it and make you sign an NDA,
Yeah. BYOD.
right?
Yeah.
Enterprises provide you with a phone. I've seen my brother carrying two phones. I cannot afford to give a mobile phone each to my all
BYOD.
the, maybe only to the
BYOD.
sales, right?
Yeah. BYOD and
Yeah,
MDM solutions, sir. Best
yeah.
option.
I hope
Good. Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody who's watching out there? A lot of interaction today. Very good. Correct when management forcing to use your personal number. What action we can do? Oh.
no, so that's a risk. That's a risk management has to accept. Because if management has taken a decision that personal mobile phones are allowed to be used, that risk has to be accepted by the management.
Hmm.
Because then there is a risk that I will use my personal phone to cause some kind of data loss, and that's possible. And on personal phones, maybe people will not agree to put an MDM solution. Then what do you do? So it's a
Yeah.
management call, and management has
Yeah.
to accept the risk. And if
Right.
it goes against laws, regulation, and compliance, then it's a no-no. Then organization is not being due diligent.
Yeah. Kapali Karsi, do you have a question? Okay. Yeah. Let's wait for a few seconds, sir. Otherwise, we'll wrap up. Just a little bit insights by the time we have any questions, sir, in today's session where you went. Any particular highlights you want to discuss?
So it was majorly a lot of companies were there, and yes, it was a good event as far as comparing to Indian ecosystem is concerned. A lot of
Okay.
startups and a lot of discussions from a lot of mature companies: Palo Alto, Sentinel One, AWS, Google. So, but the main event is tomorrow. So today
Okay.
was the initial event. So I'll say that whosoever is the NCR region, you should attend AISS Delhi. Okay, it's a good edition happening right now. Okay, let's call it a day, love. It's been a
Yeah.
hectic day, right?
Yeah.
But I've been able to complete today's. So we
Thank you
finished
so much.
chapter two of
Yeah.
Cybex. Okay, guys, this is where I want to tell you that I made some beautiful notes. It's called Cornell Notes, which, if you are not aware, okay, they are available on our website, and I will just send you the link. Okay,
Yeah. Maybe
they're
share the
very
link on the chat, sir.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're very expensive notes. Okay,
Yeah.
from the
1 rupee
value
only.
point,
Yeah.
and I've put them on sale for 1 rupees.
Cost wise,
Okay.
very costly. 1 rupees.
The main aim is so that people can use this and pass. And we've had some great successes. You will see tomorrow's LinkedIn posts. We had some great success uh, from these notes. People are passing their exam by attributing it to these notes. Okay, and it's a great pride and honor that I something created something. It took me almost 90 days to create, and now it's helping people to
So,
pass their
so,
exam.
sir, what was the recipe? Were these the notes that you actually put from your hand while you were creating the CSSP
Yeah, when
exam?
I was doing my CISSP, I had made handwritten notes.
Oh,
and I converted them to uh,
printed
type
format.
notes. Yeah. I took help of technology. I scanned them, converted them from text, image to text,
But
and then
but
corrected
still a
them.
lot of effort. A lot of
Yeah, it
effort.
took me
Yeah.
almost. It took me 90 days. Right. Okay, love. That's all for today.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you,
and
sir.
thank you
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
participation, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.